my name is Martin Gallagher. I am a television producer, and I'm also a pilot. About 4 months ago, I became acquainted with the Northwest Antique Airplane Club. Members of this club meet together to appreciate antique airplanes, 30 years old or more, and they work together to preserve those airplanes, those bits of history. Their efforts culminate yearly in the Evergreen Airshow, during which most of the following program was recorded. To pilots, an airplane can be the setting of some of the most significant events in that person's life. Perhaps for that reason, the people who deal in the care and preservation of old airplanes and the pilots who fly them all share a special bond of warmth, understanding, and respect. I felt those qualities from all the club members who I met during the making of this tape, and I'm grateful to be able to produce this personal chronicle of my time spent with the Northwest Antique Airplane Club, August 1982. The club, its members, and the upcoming air show this year. There's a major air show, which is one of my favorites, so I'm real glad to be on the program with you folks. Welcome to the Video Access Project. It's a pleasure to have you here. Thank you very much. We're going to talk a little bit about Evergreen Field. Where is it?
It's 6 miles east of Vancouver. You've heard of Mill Plain Road. It's right on Mill Plain Road.
About 6 miles east.
6 miles east.
How long has it been there? How long has it been?
Since 1945.
Since 45? Was it a military field at one time?
No, it was a cow pasture at one time.
Did they just land in there? There were no runways at one time?
At one time, it was just a cow pasture, and 2 partners started it, Wally Olson and Alvin Puckett. And they started out with 2 little airplanes tied up to the fence. They finally built a hangar. The first hangar went in, more aircraft went in, more buildings went in, a runway or 2 went in, a taxiway went in, and it has grown from that.
Are you still instructing?
Yes.
Neat. When was your last student signed off? Your most recent student?
This morning.
This morning?
I soloed one this morning.
Now you're an FAA flight instructor too, aren't you?
I used to be a flight examiner. Twice I was, but I'm just a flight instructor now.
And you had one signed off this morning?
Yes.
Came through in flying colors.
A young fellow, 17 years old.
Now here was my favorite part of the whole flight. Here was the favorite part of the whole flight. And we did some very basic aerobatics, which I'd never been through before. Is there anything special about a loop?
No.
Just don't fall on the airplane.
Just do it right and you won't have any trouble.
Just trying to run the circle. Vertical circles.
There we go.
Beautiful. And I stayed glued to that seat for the whole maneuver.
Yeah.
The tape machine did and everything. We didn't lose anything. Nothing fell
If
off
it's
the
done
top.
right, that's the way it is.
That's great. And we got one more maneuver here. A hammerhead start.
There it goes.
Is it in? Okay.
It's a Whitman tailwhip.
Turn over there. Whoa, 3-point landing too. That's okay. Find out here real fast. It'd be nice to get a silhouette of sorts. Let's see what it does. Almost there. Oh, good, he stopped just short of it.
He knows everything.
Okay.
He's got a lot of sludge in
Okay,
his sump.
where are you from? Okay, you're from Seattle?
Yes, Snohomish. We keep our airplanes at Snohomish. These three travelers all live at Snohomish.
Far out. And what about your friend here in the white t-shirt?
Well, we both together, same place.
Well, are you both friends? You do a lot of camping?
Well, we used to, but we haven't. We've been kind of busy lately, but we try to do that. It's a lot of fun.
Well, that's great. How long are you going to be here now?
Till Sunday morning.
Till Sunday morning? You're going to have a lot of traffic? You're going to have a lot of problems getting out?
We never have any problem getting out.
Yeah. That's pretty neat. Are you just by yourself? Did you bring your wives with you?
Wives? We don't bring wives to these. I'm not married. He's not,
We're not
married.
If we were, we wouldn't bring them.
That's
No, what we
excellent.
do is we come down here and have a hell of a good time. This is the best fly-in of any around. It really is.
Is it really?
And in
Yeah.
the evenings, after the flying's done, then we have one hell of a nice time. That's how it works. We don't mix the two though.
Is there an evening campfire or something I can join tonight?
There'll be somebody be playing a banjo and drinking wine over there, and it'll get real crazy in a little while.
That's great.
What will we do?
Well, if it starts raining,
It won't rain. I guess we're gonna have to just sleep in bags.
who's got a problem?
Oh, get out.
Who's got a problem?
Come over on the side.
No, I know it. That's the trouble. Travelers' tail wheels are on the side.
In the Luscombe Association, if you have a hair-raising thing
grab
that's
that?
true, you get one of these badges. And one like
You're the owner of that airplane right there?
That's right. That's an Adalette.
And did you make that?
No, it's a home built made by a gentleman named Adalette.
Ah. What's it got in it for an engine?
Continental C90,
90 horse?
90 horse.
Far out. And you got did you bring your tent in that today?
Everything you see came in that little airplane.
That's excellent. How long are you going to be here?
We'll leave Sunday.
You're going to leave Sunday. When did you come in?
About 10 o'clock this morning.
Uh-huh. From where?
Oh, we stopped last night at Cottage Grove.
That's neat. Are you from Cottage Grove?
No, from Modesto, California.
There's a typical airport bum here.
Typical airport bum?
That's an artesian right there. You've never seen one, I know that, but that's the original. That around Saragossa. A genuine artesian.
Northwest Antique Airplane Club Fly-In Air Show here at Evergreen Airport. We've been here some 13 or 14 years now. The air show in the early years was held at other parts of the Northwest, mostly in the Pearson airfield area. However, Evergreen now is our official capital for the Northwest Antique Airplane Club, and this is our 23rd annual event. We have a schedule of events for you today. At 11 o'clock, the Antique Flyby is scheduled to occur. At noon, the field will be closed. Parachute jumpers will descend in a stacked formation about noon. Al Laurie then, about 12:15, will begin the actual show with his precision aerobatic.
What thing?
Hi, you're Al Laurie?
Yes, that's me.
That's real good. You're a local person from here, huh? Where do you live?
I live in Portland on Hayden Island, just about 5 miles from here.
You native Portlander?
I've lived in Portland for the last 25 years.
How long you been flying?
Well, I've been flying since World War II. I was a fighter pilot during the Big War. I've now flying with Oregon chapter of the International Aerobatic Club Oregon chapter. We meet every second Sunday out at Rich's Airport, out of Sandy. About 44 members from Oregon and Washington.
What kinds of aerobatics you going to be doing today?
Well, I'll be demonstrating some of the aerobatic club maneuvers. We fly sportsman, intermediate, advanced, and unlimited sequences, and I'll be showing some of the basic maneuvers the members learn as they work their way up from the novice to the expert. I'll be mainly talking about flying it while I'm up there, telling the crowd how it feels while you're doing the various maneuvers, what controls I'm using.
Hey, what's the best thing you think about this? When you think about the airplane club, what's the, you're going to tell somebody about it, what's the best thing you like about it?
Well, the Antique Club is just a nice bunch of people. There's a lot of beautiful old antiques out here. They're all flying or working on them. So if you like to work on old airplanes and rejuvenate them, why, almost any hangar you can go join somebody and do that, or fly like a 1929 Waco or a Moth or Stearman, all the nostalgic old airplanes.
Now, why would you want to fly an old antique that's noisy and got wind in your face and oil in your teeth, and you can get yourself in a new 172 and go twice as far with twice as much comfort and all other kind of stuff?
Well, for all of us old pilots, that's the only way to fly. You're not really flying unless the wind is blowing through your hair and a little oil is splattering. And it's a real sensation.
That's great. Hey, who are you?
My name is Earl Smith. I'm Major, Civil Air Patrol, the Oregon Wing. Basically, I'm Assistant Commander of Group 1, and I'm in charge of the Civil Air Patrol senior members and cadets at this air show today, helping the antiquers out in their efforts for the 2 days of air show. And our primary objective is to assist where we can. Basically, it's in crowd control where we can, and parking aircraft, parking cars, and any other thing that needed to be done.
Are you folks running Unicom today?
Yes, we have Unicom net set up.
Do you give airport advisories?
No, we do not. It's only within our own net that we are, within Civil Air Patrol net, not with the air. The base does that. So we're leasing the aircraft for the show. That has to be done by the director. We don't get ourselves involved in that.
That's great. How many people you got here today?
We have about 35 cadets that are working as security, not necessarily security, but where they're needed, and we have 15 senior members.
How old are the cadets?
Cadets range age from about 15 years old to about 19.
Are they pilots?
No, they're not pilots. They hope to be pilots. they're anxious to fly, use them as observer trainees, and it's an interesting aircraft. That's what we're trying to promote.
Excuse us. Thanks.
And I do aerobatics and air shows for a living.
Far out. Now, you came here just today. You couldn't make it yesterday? You had an air show yesterday or something?
Yeah, I had a show in southern Utah, and I just flew in from there this morning.
How long did it take you to get here?
A little over 6 hours.
Wow, what are you cruising at?
About 140.
You come to this air show all the time?
Yeah, last year I missed it, but I've been here since 1963 every year, except for last year.
Wow, you must like it a lot, huh?
Oh yeah, I love it.
What are the things you like about it the most? If you have to tell
Well, just the friendship between all the pilots, the fly-in, all the antique airplanes. I love antique aircraft, even though mine was built as a home built in '76, but it is a biplane similar to an antique, and it's just a fun event, and people getting together. A lot of it's the same people every year, so you get to kind of reacquaint yourself with certain people and stuff, and it's just really fun.
That's great. Thanks a lot for talking to us. Tell me a rumor that you are Hammerhead Stahl. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Now, is there any similarity between the character of Hammerhead Stahl and yourself?
Well, they all tell me that I don't have to change a thing when I get out there with a clown suit on, other than the suit.
Hi, tell me who you are.
Bob Ely.
Where are you from, Bob?
Oh, from Moses Lake, Washington, over eastern Washington.
And what you going to be doing here today?
Well, hopefully be doing a little bit of aerobatics. I fly a Myers Little Toot.
That's great. Hey, and you've been here pretty regularly in the past, have you?
Yes, we were trying to figure out last night. It's either my 8th or 9th year.
That's pretty steady. You must like this air show.
Oh, it's fantastic. I like it so much I'm trying to find work down here so I can move to this area from Eastern Washington.
Are you really? That's great. What's now if you were going to tell somebody who'd never been flying before, one of the things that you really like about this fly-in and the air club and all that, what would it be?
The togetherness. It's one of the very few places that it's an air show and a fly-in, and it's where everyone can get together, swap ideas, compare notes, different things like that. And you know, there's a genuine concern for each other, which at normal air shows usually you're too busy and you just can't do that.
Tell me about Dave Gaudier on your shirt here.
Hey, Dave has been a friend of mine for some 20-some years. He flies a Fokker triplane, and he again is here every year. He's a captain with one of the airlines, and he's just a super nice guy. And he comes here. He kind of keeps a low profile all the time. So we just kind of thought we would start a Dave Gaudier fan club, and you'll see 2 or 3 of these shirts running around here today.
Hi, tell me who you are.
Hi, my name's Ron Hackworth, up from Los Alamitos. Keep my plane at Hawthorne, California.
Wow, you flew in here this weekend, huh?
Arrived on Thursday night.
Thursday night. What'd you fly in?
I have a Fairchild 24, 1940.
That's a real pretty yellow and green one.
I think so.
Pretty airplane. I really like it. Now you're in here every year now, huh? Just about?
It's my 2nd year.
Now you're from way out of state, and yet did you join a club or something like that?
I did. People here get a newsletter every month, kind of keeps you on top of what's happening in this area, and probably the best air show on the West Coast. Probably it's the best air show that I've been to. Sir, I'm working on for a museum restoring the last remaining N9M flying wing, which was a prototype of the bomber. It'd be the only flying model of the whole Northrop flying wing series in the world. We estimate it's going to take 1.5 years to 2 years to complete the project. I think it'll probably be one of the most significant historical airplanes that's flown in the last decade.
Bring it up to the air show?
Well, that's an option that's out of my hands. It belongs to a museum, but the plan is to take it to most of the air shows, and if I have my boat, it'll be here.
Really, are we on?
I think so.
Okay, good evening. This is the Video Access Project, and this portion of the program is another interview style program, and my name is Martin Gallagher, and this evening we are with members of the Northwest Antique Airplane Club out of Evergreen Field in Vancouver, Washington, just across the river for you folks that are watching us this evening. And on my right, on your left, we have Don Genero, Evelyn Waldron, Mike Patitucci, and Lucky Mason. These are all members of the club. And we're here to talk about the field, the club, its members, and the upcoming air show this year. There's a major air show, which is one of my favorites, so I'm real glad to be on the program with you folks. Welcome to the Video Access Project. It's a pleasure to have you here. Thank you very much. We're going to talk a little bit about Evergreen Field. Where is it?
It's 6 miles east of Vancouver. You've heard of Mill Plain Road. It's right on Mill Plain Road.
About 6 miles east.
6 miles east.
How long has it been there? How long has it been?
Since 1945.
Since 45? Was it a military field at one time?
No, it was a cow pasture at one time.
Did they just land in there? There were no runways at one time?
At one time, it was just a cow pasture, and 2 partners started it, Wally Olson and Alvin Puckett. And they started out with 2 little airplanes tied up to the fence. They finally built a hangar. The first hangar went in, more aircraft went in, more buildings went in, a runway or 2 went in, a taxiway went in, and it has grown from that.
Why did it start growing?
Because it was popular. More and more people came, and there was a necessity for it.
I see. So the airport in the final condition that it's in right now, in its shape right now, has been there since how long?
Oh, I'd say for the last 20 years at least. The runways, the current runways, and the T hangars and the large hangars have been there a long time.
Mm-hmm. Has there been any push to make it any larger, to expand it at all?
Well, it's almost impossible now because the houses are built all the way around the outside, and commercial buildings too.
Mm-hmm.
So it has nowhere to go except where it is right now.
Right. Do the people around it seem to mind the airport much?
As long as we adhere to, who are considerate of them. And we have 2 or 3 who resent airplanes coming over their houses, and we make a point to avoid their houses and tell everyone else to stay off those houses, and we get along fine.
Individual houses?
Certainly, homeowners.
Boy, that's great.
It's annoying to them, so we try not to annoy anyone. We like to get along together.
My short experience with you folks has been that you're some of the friendliest group of people around. I think that's just a really neat thing. I felt very warm and accepted by you all when I went to your meetings and stuff like that. That seems to be a general thing about pilots, that they're just real friendly people.
They're like a big family.
Really?
We all have that common interest tie-in and by this. Everybody loves flying, that's what we're there for.
Uh-huh. That brings us to members of the club. Right. Who are the members in the club?
We have something like 200 and some now, don't we?
Yeah, something over 200 now, and they're scattered just about all over the United States. Actually, this is the largest club of its type in the United States. And the show that we put on each year is the largest in magnitude of its type. There is one down in California, Watsonville. They have a fly-in, but not a show per se, as we do. And we do have the largest antique show and the largest antique club of its type in the nation.
Now, this is an antique club and an antique show.
Right.
Now, what makes up an antique club?
When the airplane reaches its 30th birthday, it becomes an official antique.
So it's not necessarily a biplane?
No.
It's the age of the airplane.
In fact, the little Chief that I had, I just sold it recently. I had it when it reached its age of antiquity. And prior to that, it was just listed as a classic. Then it became an antique.
So there is another thing called classic?
Oh, yeah.
And for what age of airplane is it?
That's not necessarily an age. It's, well, this one was referred to as a classic. And this way the insurance company referred to it as a classic. And I don't know really just what they do unless it's...
An antique airplane or spend time with an antique airplane club had to be a retired TWA captain, and I want to know if that's indeed true. Lucky, let's start with you. What do you do for a living? How'd you get wrapped up in all of this?
Well, what I do for a living varies. I am a retired Greyhound bus driver, which has nothing to do with with flying airplanes. I learned to fly in 1947-48 at McGee Tyson Airport in Knoxville, Tennessee. And I am commercially licensed, but I don't fly commercially. I've never flown commercially. I just like to go ahead and get the license. But right now, I'm combining a couple of jobs. I drive part-time for Northwest Guided Tours, and I'm also with Pendleton Record newspaper.
Now, are you an aircraft owner?
Yes, I own a Cessna 172 now. Did have it and my little Chief, but I sold my Chief. I'm only left with one.
Now, a 172, now that doesn't really classify as an antique. Do you have to have an antique airplane to be a member of the club?
No, you don't. You don't even have to own an airplane to be a member of the club.
Do you have to be willing to work on airplanes?
You have to be willing to be a member of the club.
But you have to fly
Yeah.
You have to.
in order to qualify.
There was thought earlier when the club first formed about, just antiques only in an antique club, and it didn't really work out. We needed the other people with their other airplanes too. We would take them places, and then we put on air shows and so forth. And so the two were very harmonious together, and the antiques by themselves, it would have been a real fine select group, but just couldn't really function as a club that we know it as antique airplanes. So we have a lot of 172s and all kinds of modern aircraft in the club too. It really adds to the total picture. And of course, a lot of people don't even have airplanes. They just like airplanes and like the social atmosphere and being around airplanes, and so they join our club and participate and are real active members without even owning airplanes.
Do you have an airplane yourself?
Yeah, I have a 1942 Myers biplane. It's a radial engine, Keener powered. Describe it. About 15 years ago. And then I learned to fly and had a couple airplanes and met a partner that decided that maybe we ought to try the antique route. So we went together and bought this antique airplane and still have it.
Real good, real good. Are you married?
Oh, yes.
Does your wife enjoy it?
She's taking lessons from Evelyn. Has a few hours in the same basic airplane that I learned to fly in. And is enjoying it. I wish she'd fly a little more, but she's a little nervous, a little apprehensive about it. She likes to ride, but learning to fly is a new experience for her.
That's real good. Evelyn, let's go to you. You have a lot of history with this club and with this field. We have a couple of photographs of Evelyn, and we'll get to those in just a little bit. Tell me just a little bit about your association with the field and with the club.
Well, this is my second time around on this airport. I was there a year in 1946. I was ferrying Taylor crafts from Alliance, Ohio to Evergreen Field, 3 and 4 a month. It was right after the war, and there was a big demand for airplanes, and they were building 5 a day. And I worked for a distributor who had the distributorship for Oregon, Washington, and Idaho. So it meant to bring a lot of airplanes in, and that was my job, was to ferry airplanes in. And I left there in 1946 and came back in 1971. I've been there ever since. 11 years now, I've been back. And the end is not yet in sight.
Are you still instructing?
Yes.
Neat. When was your last student signed off? Your most recent student?
This morning.
This morning?
I soloed one this morning.
Now, you're an FAA flight instructor too, aren't you?
I used to be a flight examiner. Twice I was, but I'm just a flight instructor now.
And you had one signed off this morning?
Yes.
Came through in flying colors?
A young fellow, 17 years old.
Wow, that's great. Just a little question. Are younger people easier to teach how to fly, or older people?
Younger. Boys are easier to teach than girls, and the younger the better.
Marty, I might interject something. I don't think Evelyn's going to mention it, but there's not many instructors around that's been instructing and has the hours that she has.
Do you have
expand the middle a bit?
Do you have, how many hours do you have?
22,000 plus.
Are you still keeping logbooks?
Every minute. I log every minute.
Let's take a look at a couple of these photographs. These are just gorgeous. Evelyn brought these tonight. That's beautiful. Can you see that up on the monitor up there? That's great. What is that photo? Tell me about that photo.
It was a J65 Eagle Rock that I used to own, and all you see now is just the upper wing and not even the cockpit there. I was wearing a parachute because I was going to go up and play around up there somewhere.
When was that taken?
1939, Albany, Oregon.
Great. Let's change photos. Linda, let's change photos. Great. This is my favorite photo right here. Let's punch this one up. That's great.
That was taken in 1931, Jamestown, North Dakota, in a studio.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And this next one.
Oh, that is the Standard J1. That's the airplane I soloed in 1928. I started flying in March of 1928 and soloed in June. And this airplane at that time was 10 years old, but it was still a new airplane. The owners bought that World War I surplus, still brand new in the crate, and they had to recover it because the fabric had deteriorated from sitting for 10 years inside the crate.
Oh, wow.
And they got the airplane for $500, and they bought 10 extra engines for $25 each in the crates.
$25 an engine.
That's right, and they had a big stack of them there, and they didn't overhaul or major their engines, they just changed engines. Later on, when they started running out of engines, they had to overhaul them.
Now, what's this one here? This almost looks like a new airplane.
It's a Taylor. This is taken in 1941. I flew nonstop from Canada to Mexico in that little airplane. I had extra gas on board, 80 gallons, where it normally carried 12. And it took me 16 and a half hours to go from Vancouver, BC to Tijuana nonstop. I flew all night. And I averaged 103 miles an hour with the help of an obliging tailwind. Normally that airplane would only cruise about 80, 85, but I had a tailwind all the way down. I must have been living right.
Good time.
That was some sort of a record then, or that's why you did it?
It was two records, one for speed and one for distance for light planes for women.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Have they been broken since?
Not as far as I know.
Great. I'm glad you're here. That's a good photo. I like that photo.
It's a studio picture. That was about 1938.
And the vision that comes from flying. That's great. That's great. Okay, Mike, let's go to you for just a sec. You've been the quiet one of the bunch here, and it's time for me to open you up a bit. Do you own an airplane?
Yes, I do.
What do you have?
A 1941 Stearman.
41 Stearman. Stearman seems to be the classic biplane that everyone thinks of when they think.
Well, nowadays.
Classic air show as far as the talent of the performers and the type of aircraft that we attract. And it's a low-key operation as far as the people who come in and fly in. We don't charge them anything. We treat them royally. We put them up in the best hotels and buy gas for their airplanes, and there's lots of prizes for their airplanes. And so they're real eager throughout the Northwest and the West Coast to come to this show.
That's great.
And I might add that the bulk of the airplanes come in on Friday, the 20th.
Right.
And they have the early bird spaghetti feed on Friday night for the pilots flying in.
Just a sec. We have some slides of some of the airplanes that have been in from the show. If we can can we look at those?
The tape is up.
Oh, the tape is up. We'll get to the tape in just a little
Marty,
bit.
might I make one point here?
Go.
For the air show itself, the aerobatic flying and so forth is not necessarily all done by antiques. We have some more modern stuff that does that. But we do have antique flybys and so forth. Just ought to bring it up. Some of the stuff we'll see on tape may not be antiques.
What do the people that live around the airport feel about the air show? Somebody told me that like with all the parking with the people that show up, that some of the people have been charging for parking on their front lawns and this kind of stuff, make a few bucks that way. Is the relationship generally pretty good with a lot of people running around here?
We don't seem to have any problems with it.
No.
We don't really want anybody to commercialize on our air show. Our air show is for the community and for the people that love to fly and to preserve antique airplane flying and so forth. And we have a lot of people that like to come in and bring all the things that they want to sell and the programs and to really develop it into a money-making proposition, and we're against that. So we have free parking. We probably sell our hot dogs for 2 bits cheaper than any place, in, you know, like any fairs. We're not in it to really make a lot of money, so therefore we're a little bit concerned about these people around the airport that might want to infringe and commercialize. So therefore we stress that we have free parking, 10 acres of free parking. So there are some people that do want to charge, and so there's nothing we can do about it.
Great. How much are tickets for the air show?
$250.
$250 for
adults
everybody?
and $1 for children.
Right.
And then children under 6 are free, aren't
Right.
they? Yes.
Children under 6. Great. Okay. What kinds of things can we expect to see at the air show?
Well, we've got
terrific
aerobatics, antique display, military display, some antique flybys, parachute jumps, concession
We'll go
parking,
out over it.
clowns, so forth. And also, they used to run on a few antique automobiles on the field to kind of spruce up the setting a little bit.
That's great. Yeah, that's great. Okay, I'm getting pushed on a tape.
Yes.
About 3 weeks ago, I went out to the field, and everybody was just real friendly with me, and saw that I had a camera around, opened up all their hangars to me. I felt just great about that, and took me up for a ride. My first time in an open cockpit airplane, and it was a great thing. Dale Detour, wherever you are, this is it. So this is it. Now this is your airplane, right, Mike?
Right.
There's Navy markings on it. Those are all original markings.
This is the way it was in Pensacola. I brought it back to the original Pensacola colors, and prior to 1941, all planes the military could designate how they wanted them paint scheme and everything like this, and this is the way I painted in the bright Pensacola colors.
Yours was grand champion 2 years ago, wasn't it?
Yes, I believe so.
Yes.
It was a very clean.
Beautiful.
Beautiful. In fact, I could even see myself in the chrome on the headers. That was great.
I believe we just got back from...
Who's that? Who's that person right there?
That's my boy. That's Tim.
We want to see the face, not the head.
Now, this is Dale's airplane.
This is Dale Detour's, and this is an ASO Waco. It's a 29, and originally it was a one-of-a-kind. It came from the factory as a test plane. It had a Packard diesel engine, 8-cylinder radial engine on it. And it came from, it spent many years being a test bed for this diesel engine, and I believe it was transferred over to Eastern Airlines, if I'm right, Evelyn. I think some of the records show...
can't prove it but me.
Dale said that the plane flew with Eastern Airlines for a short time, and from there I don't know what the history of it is, and it ended up over at Puckett's Field in Clark County there, and Dale bought it from Mr. Puckett. And he's had it ever since. And this plane has quite a bit of history behind it. It is one of the rare antiques around.
And they were built in Troy, Ohio.
I believe this is the last one of this type flying.
Of this Waco, yeah. It used to be a DSO, and now it's an ASO Waco. It's got a 220 Continental on it, and 7-cylinder instead of a 7-cylinder diesel.
We're going to run out of time here in just a couple of minutes, so I want to give one more definite plug to the air show tonight. So it is at Evergreen Airport, 6 miles east of Vancouver on Mill Plain Road.
Yes, sir.
It starts what time Saturday morning on the 21st? 9 o'clock, 9 a.m. on August 21st. That's a week from this Saturday. And it'll end up Friday afternoon, Friday evening sometime?
Sunday afternoon.
Saturday and Sunday.
Saturday and Sunday.
And we'll run till 4 in the afternoon both days. Saturday and
4 in
Sunday.
the afternoon, both days. Free parking, costs you $2.50 to get in. It's one of the best little air shows I've ever been to.
Oh, yes. We draw all the way from San Diego north, from Canada, Montana, Idaho, Oregon, Washington, and even from Phoenix and from Wisconsin every year.
And we can roll some credits up over this. Oh, now there was another airplane. Now, I don't know. That came up alongside of us later on. And we watched him do a barrel roll. I don't believe it. I don't know if anybody heard that, but the studio is falling apart in here, folks. There he goes into his loop. Great. How are we doing for time? Can we go for a little bit longer on this? Can we go? Just make sure to tell Kevin. Okay, there we go. Now there's Dale. There's a shot of Dale right there. And Dale was pointing at me to look at something which I didn't
He looks like
see.
the Red Baron in that thing.
Yeah, there it is.
Okay, that plane there is a UPF-7. That's another Waco. But that also was trained for the military. That was a trainer for the military. And this was one of the...
Who was that pilot?
I believe that was Bill Golf.
Is he out of Evergreen Field?
Yes.
There's a shop there, repair shop.
Boy, that's a pretty airplane. I don't know if you can hear the soundtrack of that tape, those people that are watching, but it was a mostly slipstream, engine noise, and a lot of contact with the airplane. A whole lot of contact. Great. And now here was my favorite part of the whole flight. Here was the favorite part of the whole flight. And we did some very basic aerobatics, which I've never done before. Is there anything special about a loop?
No.
Just don't fall in the airplane.
Just do it right and you won't have any trouble.
Just flying around in a circle. Vertical circles.
There we go.
It's beautiful. And I stayed glued to that seat for the whole maneuver. The tape machine did and everything. We didn't lose anything. Nothing fell
If
off
it's
the
done
top.
right, that's the way it is.
That's great. And we got one more maneuver here. A hammerhead stall.
There it goes.
Is it wiener?
Wiener's different.
That was a hammerhead, whether you know it.
Okay, our director this evening has been Kevin Fritz. And Kevin, if you can hear me back there, let's go ahead and roll some credits. We have another program on Video Access Project this evening. It's been on everybody's laughing. Am I saying something wrong? Oh, 15 minutes we can use. Okay, now here's a shot. Oh, okay, let's keep it. here's the field. Here's Evergreen Field from the air. Now this is on the north side of the field, I believe. We are about ready to enter into the pattern for the runway facing west.
Over the north-south runway.
Those airplanes on the ground are permanently parked though, too. And then the hangars have a lot of airplanes. We have over 200 airplanes on that airport.
Really?
That one hangar you were in, that whole row is nothing but antiques.
How many antique airplanes are based at the field?
Probably around 30.
Now I understand that's the largest concentration of antique airplanes
In one location, yes.
One location.
There's probably no other around. That's it, right there.
Now, is there any correct way to go out and own an antique airplane? Like some people like to polish them up and make them showpieces, and some people, from what I understand, like to spread oil all over them and dirt and get the smell of castrol and the whole thing like that. Now, there's just a difference between how people like to relate to their machinery?
I think so. Basically, that's what it is.
I think Mike likes his airplane nice and clean and shiny, though. I don't blame him for that.
Your airplane is very clean and shiny. It's beautiful. I want you to know that. Real good.
I think that everybody keeps their airplane nice and clean. I think that's basically the...
Don's too. His has a high polish.
Don, I haven't seen yours yet, but the next time I get out.
Beautiful.
It's right next door to this. Hanging right next door.
That's the only place I can get my beer.
I don't keep mine quite as nice as Mike's.
That's great. Now there's Dale.
That's Dale right there.
Dale's our pilot, and I wanted to shot him. There's some more people from the club. The Doug Lusher's wife, all these people, and closing it up for the evening. That's great. That's the end of the tape. I want to thank you folks very much for being here this evening. This has been a whole lot of fun doing this program. The tape was great. The airplane ride was great. You want to get to some slides? Yes. Oh, we have some slides? We can do that?
Got some going right now.
Oh, hey, look at that.
That's lovely.
Everybody duck.
Now,
That's
this is
beautiful.
what I was speaking of a while ago. Not everything is...
This airplane is a AT-6. This was what they called an advanced trainer. This is after they came out of the Stearmans and the BTs. This came into an AT-6, which was their advanced trainer. This is
During World War II.
Yes, and this has a 650 horse Pratt & Whitney radial engine on it. And the one on the back is a Charger. This lady comes from Shelbyville, California. Her and her husband fly up every year. I think they've been there for the last 10, and
Oh, yes, at least
15
that
years.
long.
And she puts on an act up there in aerobatics. And this is her there.
That's Jeannie.
Jeannie Williams.
Jeannie Williams.
Last year was her first time to fly.
First time
in the show.
she put her on her first show with us last year.
She just got admitted to the Aerobatic Association.
This is a Booker Youngman. I mean, this was the basic trainer for the German Air Force. Although this one particularly didn't come out of Germany, this is a Spanish version of it.
Those are Spanish markings on the tail?
Those are Swiss markings. The Swiss used them for a lot of aerobatics. They're very strong and they're very adaptable for aerobatics. That's got 180 horsepower Hessel Suze in it, I believe. No. Yeah, Hessel in it.
The Red Baron lives. Now, is this an actual Fokker? Is that how you pronounce that? I could
That's
never.
a Fokker triplane.
Fokker triplane. Now, is that an actual Fokker or is that a model?
That's a replica.
It's a replica.
It's a replica. Same size as the original?
Yes. And this also, this guy that flies this plane is an airline pilot, by the way.
Is he?
Yes. Dave got there and he comes from up around Tacoma.
That's great.
And this gentleman here is Frank Rosuzio. He comes from up on the Olympic Peninsula and he flies a little act on a J3 Cub. And he's probably does one of the most beautiful aerobatic acts in the J3 Cub you'll ever see.
Let me add just a little bit to this, Mike. When I was president and I was Airshow director, this fella called me, Frank Ranullo, and he's an older guy, must be, I don't know, he's probably 70, I don't know. Anyway, he wanted to come down and put on a show for us. I said, what kind of airplane do you have? He says, well, I got a J3 Cub. Well, we're kind of into a little bit higher class, more performing aircraft than a J3 Cub. And I said, what do you do with it? And he says, well, I do just about everything. I've got an aerial ballet to this Viennese waltz or something. And I said, reluctantly, I said, can we get a waiver on you? He said, I've already got a waiver. I said, come on down. We'll get you onto the program. He was the hit of the show.
Oh, yes, it's
He was
perfection.
the hit of the show. And he's been back every year, and he goes to a lot of shows, but they turn all the sound off, everything is all quiet, they put on the Viennese waltz, and he does his routine.
Tales of the Vienna Woods.
Tales of Vienna Woods, whatever it is. Okay. But anyway,
And that's his airplane there?
tremendous.
Practices every single day.
Very modest,
so smooth
gentleman.
Now, this is not the cockpit for his airplane. What is this? What is this?
This is the cockpit to the Dragon Rapide. This is a British. This is a
Ex-airliner.
Yeah,
In the
this-
1930s, they used that for an airliner.
The British did. This is a British
Yes.
airplane.
They used them in Great Britain.
Now, is that the one with the dragon on the
Right,
side?
a Dragon Rapide they call them. And this man that bought this aircraft, it came from India. This flew over small airlines in India for years and years and years.
And they used them in Australia, New Zealand.
Wasn't it also at one time the Prince's personal aircraft? There's two of them in the area, one of them was.
Yeah.
I believe it's this one.
That's great. And what's that?
That's a Russian, and I'm not sure what the designation number is, but this is the largest single-engine Russian biplane ever built.
It was a crop duster in Russia.
And it's got a useful load of around 5,500 pounds. It's quite large.
That was a crop duster? It looks like it's a small airliner.
It's big.
It is huge. You can put a small car in there.
And now I wish there was somebody next to it so we could get some scale on how big is it. What's the wingspan on something like that? How long are those?
Oh, I don't know. You're looking at probably around 48 feet, maybe pretty close to 50 feet there.
Good-sized airplane.
It's a four-bladed prop.
The interior of the cabin is almost as big as a DC-3. And they use it also for paratrooper training and this sort of stuff. They take a bunch of them.
Now here is a dangerous machine.
One of the most beautiful airplanes ever built.
That really is beautiful.
That's it.
Yeah, that's great. I think that we'll wind this up again.
We can go another hour if you would.
Really. Lucky Mason, Mike Patitucci, Evelyn Waldron, Don Genero. This has been great. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
I would like
We've
to...
enjoyed it.
Thank you. I would like to urge everybody who's watching tonight, if you ever had any interest in flying, to get out to the Evergreen Air Show this year, because it's a great show. It's a very intimate show. You're right next to the airplanes. You'll be able to watch them. You'll be able to hear them. You'll be able to see some beautiful aerobatics, some great history from this area of the country. And so please, if you can do that. Thanks for being with us tonight. I think we have another program for Video Access Project coming up in a little bit. So thank you very much for being with us tonight.